was just not. I mean, I don't understand that. There is some guilds who are raiding without any sort of voice comm. That just seems horrible.
That seems incredibly inefficient. It's actually kind of antisocial. Maybe it's kind of antisocial as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking to your guild on voice is really a great thing, and I've met a lot of people that have been kind of awesome as a direct result of that.
Yeah.
So I would not encourage anyone to do that.
No, definitely not. It's like people have raid leaders spamming macros with raid warning right in the middle of the screen, sort of what to do. I don't exactly.
It's obnoxious for one thing.
I don't support that in any way. I mean, it's most of the team effort comes from communicating. That's just how it is.
How do Paragon feel about the nerf to Major Domo and Balrog? Do they think that the HP nerf was actually needed? I know you covered one of those before, but not the other.
Major Domo was sort of buffed as well at the same time. Once they did this nerf now, they also made it not possible to take these sights in the Scorpion form with the Paladin tank as Ardent Defender. That's what we used to do before. You gained about 30 seconds of DPS there, so now the DPS is close to what it was before the nerf, sort of, as they nerfed that ability.
Right.
It was more to balance 10 and 25 man Balrog and Major Domo, since on 10 and 25 man the DPS requirement on those two bosses is a joke compared to 25 man.
Yeah.
So that's why they did it.
Is a lot of out-of-game social interaction between members of Paragon, or is it primarily limited to in-game?
Well, we are all from Finland. We do see each other in events, and sometimes many people know each other in real life as, you know, sort of friends, and so yeah, we do some things together. Obviously, not all the time.
You drink together a lot.
As well.
That I've noticed.
Some of that as well. Some of that as well.
Yeah. That is to be expected. Seem to be going fairly well at the moment.
Yep. No computers used, I think. No, actually, there was one. One was used.
Well, it still means you've got, what, 2 left? So
yeah.
Not too shabby.
No, it all comes down to the last phase, what actually happens there. Here's a question, actually. What people are asking: Vodka and a few other guilds have been 4 healing already. Where's the DPS disparity coming from? They were consistently phase 4. First of all, how do you know they were consistently phase 4? They recently killed the boss. And second of all, they have used slightly different tactics, if I am correct, with the seeds. If you take in better single DPS than AoE DPS and handle the seeds differently, then you can also afford to take in more healers. And also, as it is right now, we are not running an optimal comp here at Assembly Live Rate. Yeah, we wouldn't be using 3 Arcane Mages, some of them even with a bit of subpar gear, because they haven't really been on the first kill comps and stuff like that. So yeah. I'm pretty sure we would be able to do it with our tactic with 4 healers right now, but it's not worth the risk of maybe not making it. Consistently getting to phase 4 is what matters.
Yeah.
That's
giving that edge is certainly helping you out in this respect.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on Envy, a guild that has emerged this year and become one of the top 3 raiding guilds apparently? Are you scared? So is that?
Am I scared? Are you kidding me?
Does he look like the kind of guy that gets scared? I don't think so.
No, man. It's... Yeah, I know some of the players there and they good, and, you know, but I don't know. I'm more scared of Method than I am from them, and I'm not really even very scared of them, so, you know, that just leaves Envy somewhere there behind.
Yeah, our Method of consistently putting out a really great performance ever since TVC.
Method is actually, they're spending a lot of time. They actually put in serious effort in. I don't really know, I haven't really been monitoring Envy's, like, how much are they actually raiding, but I know that at least Method is raiding huge amounts, and thus they are really doing very well.
I've noticed as well that Insidia has kind of fallen behind just a little bit. They used to be the big dogs, not so much anymore. What do you think happened there?
I think one of the main things was they lost Kung, and one of the legendary WoW names.
Yeah,
so to
probably.
say.
Well, I think there's two. Well, there's three players who are really well known in WoW. There's Kungan, there's Leroy, and there's a Theme.
Yeah.
And only one of those is actually known for talent. What, do you think that's an unfair assessment? I don't think so.
Not at all, not at all, not at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's actually hit them quite bad for sure. And also, I don't know really.
It's probably just Kungan. It's Kungan effect. You've seen the screenshots with all of his amazing raid leading techniques.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the techniques where you spam with raid warning on the middle of the screen, stuff what to do.
Yep, and you
focus.
Live inside your character. They make crazy Batman references for no reason.
Yeah.
Kungan is a little odd in games sometimes.
I think we all are sometimes.
I believe so. A simple question: why Horde?
I think Paragon just was Horde, and that's really, that's really bad.
Yeah. Nice and easy. Let's see what else have we got. Well, they're moving now into phase 4 once again.
Right, let's look at this
Well,
more
Guru,
specifically.
yeah, Guru is dead, so that's not a good start.
Again. Maybe he likes the floor view. I mean, it's something to think of at least.
Well, you get to see plenty of the floor in this fight if you happen to be ranged DPS.
Yeah.
There's no real doubt about that.
Xenofix is encouraging people to play now.
That does help sometimes. That's all. It's always a nice bit of encouragement, isn't it? Possibly a bit Captain Obvious, but we'll get on with it.
It does help sometimes when people are not focusing and talking about some random stuff.
Another question, I suppose, that's...
Dread Flame straight on the camp.
Never mind.
Straight on the camp, on this camp as well.
Ouch. Not ideal.
And Root right on top of there as well. Yeah, both tanks dead.
Slap. Is it usual, by the way, for Paragon to raid for this long without a break?
I don't know, how long have they been raiding now?
Quite a while. I actually don't know what the time is. It's what we started, what, 20 past 3?
Yeah, it's been like 4 hours now.
We've been blabbering on for 4 hours?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And there's still people here.
Yeah,
actually,
why?
Actually,
why are they here?
Actually, there's still people here. What would I say? 4 hours is not such a long time when you're actually there playing behind the computer and so on. We used to take some small breaks normally, but seeing as we have limited time here at Assembly, I don't think any breaks are going to be made.
Oh, trash respawn. Oh, never mind.
Nice.
How long have the trash been there anyway? Oh, they just come back. I didn't see them before.
I don't know, but yeah, mass resting is happening quite often anyways now.
Yeah.
So.
Why are you using demo locks instead of affliction with this tactic where they can't use full AoE on seeds?
Basically, I don't know if the person who is asking is very familiar with how this demo is working right now, but basically, I don't know if it's actually a bug or if it's intended, but Demonology Warlock or Demonology Warlock's Doomguard gets 3 times the amount of mastery that he's like supposed to get.
Okay.
So when we are in this burn phase, the Demo Warlocks are the people doing the most DPS. They're doing over 40,000 in this phase, because the Doomguard alone does over 10,000. Doomguard is 1 million damage instant cast. Not bad.
It's not terrible, is it?
I mean, That's why we have Demo Warlocks here. Not because of the AoE. If we wanted AoE, we would be taking Hunters, Frost DKs, and, well, Boomkin does twice more than any other class on AoE, so we were running this at first with like 7 Moonkins to just insta-give them on the spot to get progress on the fight, but then we started getting into single DPS problems, so we dropped some Boomkins and took the classes who are good at both. And also the Demo Warlock pet does quite nice damage with the Blade Storm. But that's basically, yeah, that's it.
Were there any 1% wipes?
Yes, actually, a couple of them. There was... there has been always low percent wipes before a first kill, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think we had actually a 1% wipe, like, I don't know, 100k HP.
Oh, that's horrible. That's always the worst thing.
Yeah, and we also had like a couple of percent wipe as well. Yeah.
He's asking why we keep saying there's only 3 combat reses. Are DK and lock res too time consuming?
No, it's because the combat reses are limited to 3 per combat in 25 man and 1 per combat in 10 man. That's why only 3 can be used.
Indeed. The more you know. About over 9,000 people currently watching. That's pretty cool. Does Paragon ever need to use things like DKP punishment for mistakes? How do you deal with them in general?
No. We don't use such thing because it's not really needed. People who do mistakes, they know about it, and I'm pretty sure that in the future content, these people who do a lot of mistakes, they might not get the same shot as what they did here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really a need of... Yeah, if they're that bad, they will just be kicked out of the guild, and we don't have to deal with them anymore, and it doesn't matter how much DKP they had, so... That's pretty fair, I would say.
Seems reasonable to me. Have Paragon ever been accused of exploiting the game in order to achieve their progress? And I just want, I will qualify that, by the way, by saying we're not going to say some random guy on the forums, because every guild in the world has been accused of that. There's never really been any accusation that's actually gained traction beyond the usual haters.
Nah, because I don't think we have ever really... Well, actually, I think back in the TOGC days, when Paragon did use the Holy Wrath tactic to kill Anubharak Heroic, I think there was some huge whine about that, and it was called exploit and stuff. But next reset, they did the achievement of having 45 tries left and killed the boss with a proper tactic, so I think that just pretty much shut everyone
that
up
kind of proves it, doesn't it? Yeah.
So
speaking of, I can't actually remember what it was. I'm fairly sure I barely even played during that era because I couldn't be asked with Colosseum. So, what was that tactic, and what was the so-called exploit?
There was these mobs which were able to be totally ignored by chain stunning them with using paladins to use Holy Wrath on them.
Yeah.
So they were just staying chain stunned whole fight, and they were just totally ignored. So that part of the fight got ignored because of the chain stunning. That's brutal.
That's as far as that's ever gone. Yes, it's the Master's cheating on another clever use of game mechanics.
Cheating. It doesn't enhance our gameplay, so who cares?
Oh no. At the end of the day, I'm fairly sure it makes it more entertaining for people watching, not to see you.
Well, yeah. Would you guys like to see that there was a 15 minutes of corpse run after every wipe? I mean, I don't really think so.
Yeah, no. As I think we've explained before, corpse running is effectively it's just a time sink.
Exactly, a complete waste of time.
Yes. Nobody likes it.
No, you just have to do it sometimes. That's actually, there is some differences between the better guilds. Some people corpse run faster than others. Like the wipe recovery in top end raiding guilds is actually quite fast, when in some guilds it can take up to half an hour, you know, to find out what went wrong and all this stuff.
Yeah, efficiency is a big deal when trying to create a guild that is actually reasonable when it comes to progress. You have to know what is the most efficient way to get back on your feet, get everything sorted out, have a discussion about what went wrong, and then get back into it, which is actually the reason why you'll find a lot of guilds do go with this single leader approach, and a lot of the theory crafting, it's not done in a big discussion on men. It's either done behind the scenes, or there's a single person that they know can identify the problem, and then they get right back into it, because it's just a waste of time otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, the single person thing I think is getting quite old in many top end guilds. I think like nowadays that most of the good player base can already identify many of these things themselves and thus be sort of right.
Yeah. There's no real doubt about that. It seems to be solid for the moment once again.
Yeah. Everything's going good. Last seed explosions, and after that get into the second intermission.
Of course, there is the possibility that you may not be able to take him down today. It is a hard boss.
Of course, there's a possibility. After all, I'm not there.
So, a few more questions before we get into that phase once again. Paragon expand on the subject of Death Knight tanking. Seems like they just don't use DK tanks. Are they just suboptimal, or?
Very bad.
Really?
Like, very bad. Yeah.
Why is that?
They just have... bad. They're just bad. Why? Because they have very little amount of armor. They take insane amount of damage. Like, okay, they have Death Strike. They can heal. But healing just does not compensate that they take on an average like 10,000 higher hits from a boss than another tank. They don't have a block. Just, I mean, compared to a druid, the druid probably has what, 15k more armor than a Death Knight. That is massive. Taking more damage, having worse cooldowns, just simply not good. Not good enough for us. We do use DK tanks on a DK tank specific fight, such as Unshal in the last content in the Throne of the Four Winds.
Yeah.
That's where most people did use DK tanks. We did as well. It was good there.
Yeah, it's just a case of min-maxing a composition in order to get what you want. But as you pointed out before, there are fights where Shaman and things like that just simply do not work. Yeah,
there are fights where certain things are just simply better, and that's why, you know, you want to have a nice roster, not just exactly like two of the same class. Yeah. Some classes are more wanted.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that a lot of more guilds like you are actually going for this approach of where everyone has at least one geared alt.
Yep.
And it's more about, I suppose, recruiting less people, but having more available. So if you do need to swap things around, you don't have to constantly exclude people from your raid group.
Yeah, exactly. And also, sometimes it's like, someone could ask me, Vadisha, what do you think? Would Major or Warrior work better in this fight? Then I would just say Warrior, and then I would just play Warrior. You know, that's basically the thing. And if Mage would just simply be 10 times better, then I would just go on a Mage. Because getting the kill is the most important, really. When it's farm content, I wouldn't play my Mage if I had a chance on going on my Warrior. Just no way. Yeah. But when it's getting the kill, that's first priority there.
Yeah, you play what is required in order to win.
Exactly.
It's totally reasonable as far as I'm concerned. You happen to be in a competitive raiding guild.
Yep.
There are, of course, some people that don't want to do that. That's fine too, but I suppose you shouldn't really expect to be over competitive if you're not willing to make a sacrifice like that.
There's another insane question. Does Paragon get any sort of help from the Blizzard GMs when...
yeah, when you're getting close to a world first.
Yeah,
actually, it's a long question, but there might be a bug holding you back. So, that's the bit at the end.
Yeah. It's just... yeah. No, we don't.
Yeah, one assumes that Blizzard do keep an eye on world firsts to see if any emergent bugs come in.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that help, though. I'd call that making the content work like it's supposed to.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, there's been multiple bosses which have been totally bugged when we have been going there. Of course, Blizzard has been fixing them fairly fast even. But yeah. That's
well, that's 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's a wipe again. Good lord. Hard boss is hard. What can we say?
It is actually.
I love the way that these 3 legendary figures do nothing more than sort of provide gimmicks into the fight. Don't actually just go and kill him.
That's what I was expecting. That at some point of the fight, you know, these guys would come in with the laser beams and stuff. But no, nothing. I had to do all the work myself.
We're going to drop little things on the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you can't do that because people get very, very upset about lack of heroism from the players and things like that. You're not allowed to be the heroes.
Definitely.
Okay, apparently, can you lower the in-game sound? Just lower the in-game sound slightly. We can't do it on master. Just taking a very short break while they get set up once again. Do you have people who always play the same spec, or do they collect off-spec gear as well and tend to switch between those roles? I mean, I'd assume they would almost have to, but does Lazia always play a tank?
Paladin tank is so strong right now that there has not really been any need for him to ever play anything else. If we have been using one tank, it's been him. Sata, seeing as he's playing a Feral, all of the Feral tanking gear is effectively the best Feral DPS gear.
Yeah.
All he needs to do is switch his gems, and this has been done multiple times. Yeah.
Let's go through trying to find good questions. A lot of them are fairly obvious. Yeah, we keep getting this question actually. Maybe you might want to address it.
How come Paragon's DPS is so much lower than Method's DPS when Method makes the meteors with 5 sec left using 5 healers? Well, first of all, if you have seen our video and if you have seen Method's video, you probably wouldn't be asking the question. But since you obviously haven't, I'll answer it. It's the fact that we are doing different tactic on the boss. Method is single target nuking down the seeds, thus taking in better single DPS, whereas we are AoEing them, thus taking in better AoE DPS. And also, Method's first kill was 2 weeks after us, 2 resets of more gear and stuff like that on their players. So that makes quite a big difference. As I already told earlier here, we are not currently running the most optimal comp for Ragnaros Heroic here on Assembly. We have some of our key players not actually playing in this raid because they are not present or not available, and this actually does make some difference when we're talking about this much of a min-maxing as what you guys are asking here.
Yeah, it makes sense when you're talking about the absolute bleeding edge content. I suppose people that don't do it don't really understand just how much of a very delicate balance it really is.
Yeah, it really is.
And what can change if you take one class instead of another. Min-maxing exists for a reason. You don't do it because you want to be pretentious or indeed you want to be elitist and just say, you know, we are the best in that regard. You do it because you have to when you are competing for world firsts. And because this content is so hard, and by the time that a lot of these guys get to it, assuming they ever do, probably the majority of them won't, which is also fine because that's why heroic modes exist. The content will have probably changed. It will have most likely been nerfed and things like that. That, and of course the tactics are then readily available and have been refined, and once all of this content is out on the internet. Would implementing fights where you need more than 2 to 3 tanks be something that you would consider to be a good idea, something that would make tanks more appealing? I don't think that would make tanks more appealing.
No. I mean, Four Horsemen, man,
Yeah.
back in Nax days
8
was
tanks, yes.
horrible. I mean, that was just stupid. Having to gear so many tanks and all this stuff, and you know, not everyone likes tanking. Why we need more than 2, 3? It's
Well, to be fair, a lot of people don't like tanking in general, but
No.
I don't think forcing people to play tank is the way to make people like playing tanks.
No, I mean, if you want to make tank more appealing, there's better things to it than adding fight where you need 5 tanks, for example.
Yeah. I mean, you play a warrior. What kind of thing would you want in order to make tanking more appealing in general?
Well, the thing is, I don't actually like tanking. It's just, basically, when I play a tank, I try to play, let's say, for the full benefit of the raid. I will never take a risk. I will try to help others as well as do my own job, looking at what's actually happening there and stuff like that. When I play DPS, I play also, of course, for the raid, but I do take risks. I do try to play exactly at the max rate that is possible, and I try to also satisfy myself by beating the records that I've been doing previously already. Otherwise, there is not much fun in it. And I don't know if I said already, but I don't really mind tanking. I did tank many bosses in the previous content, and if a warrior tank proves to be the thing at some boss, I will be the one to do it. So yeah, that's pretty much answer to this.
Yeah. I suppose the follow-up is, can you think of any ideas, mechanically, I suppose, that would make tanking more interesting to people? Or is it just like a social engineering problem where people just want to do damage?
I don't think you can make tanks more appealing, but let's just put it this way, tanks are less important nowadays than what they used to be, because how tanks used to be, tanks needed to be geared, first of all. Tanking gear was very important, and right now there's not really much of this going on. I mean, it's best to give your gear to the DPS. The more DPS you have, the easier everything gets.
Yeah. Giro's dead again, by the way.
I don't know what to say. I don't want to be mean on the stream. He's not the only one though right now.
No.
Someone else who just died.
No, the ass just went down as well.
I'm pretty sure that some of the people are starting to get to the point where enough mistakes has been made, and I don't know if our casting time is actually soon out, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is often kind of the time where you think, do you call it, or do you continue when people are stressed?
Yeah, or it's just, I don't know, it just seems like people might not be playing at the top notch right now. A lot of people are not playing from their home computers, not playing from their home stuff. Everything is not set how they maybe would like it to be.
Yep.
I guess we're just gonna have to see. I don't know what's going on the TeamSpeak and stuff. I can't hear them, so
Of course, yeah.
they might be deciding something over there at some point. If I'm totally honest, I didn't expect it to be going this bad, because this is really been going quite bad. Should have been able to kill it in this time frame. We had like 5 hours casting time, should have been no problem to, yeah.
Yeah, so I should put it through, but at the end of the day, as you've said before, it is the hardest fight that Blizzard's ever made.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely is, and we have a couple of people here who are first time on the fight as well.
Yep.
Gero is one of them.
Yep.
Sort of. Well, actually, he's been doing some attempts, but
He's not as well practiced.
no. Also, the mages, 2 of them have never been here before, really.
I think we've probably got time maybe for a couple more attempts, and then that'll be it.
Yeah.
See if we can bring it down.
Hopefully, hopefully.
That's someone claiming to be Prom Method. Maybe, it may not be.
Very hard to say. Very hard to say.
Quick question in terms of mods. Is Paragon using a custom version of Deadly Boss mods of Bigwigs? Apparently there's been some automatic reports during the fight that supposedly are not there.
Of course we use some. It's basically, I mean, when we get to the encounter is not like, you can't go into WoWways and download the newest Bigwigs and have the Ragnaros Heroic there when no one has even been doing Ragnaros Heroic. So we are the players doing it ourselves, and once our content is done, we can release all of our information for someone who actually really does that stuff over there. And yeah, in fact, Kruf is our coder guy, the guy who's now playing Hunter. He's pretty much managing most of his stuff for us when we do need.
Yeah, have you guys ever created any, I'm not just talking customized versions of current mods, or actually any mods yourselves, just completely brand new mods?
I think there was a Reforge add-on made earlier, before a public Reforge add-on was made, but I'm not sure of that, how well it ended up working. Didn't use it myself.
Fire going down there. Hunter is a little stressed.
Yeah, seems like that was actually quite a tight spot he was in there.
Oh yeah, that would look impossible to maneuver out of.
That was a deterrence in action.
Yep. Did the job, that's why you have it. Are there any mandatory mods required for the members of Paragon, or is it personal choice, aside from, I would imagine, Bigwigs?
Well, I guess some of you saw me raiding on the mage in DreamHack raid, and
I don't believe you're using...
didn't really have much mods,
really.
And that's actually how I play. All I really need is...
I think you just had Omen,
I mean,
didn't you?
boss mod... No, just damage meter.
Yeah.
The boss mod is up to some extent, of course, very useful, and I suggest it for everyone, but it's not something that is definitely needed. I mean, mods are to enhance your gameplay.
Yeah.
There are people who are using tons of them, and there are people who are using less of them. It does not make you a better player if you don't use any mods, or if you use tons of mods. The performance that you bring into the table on the boss fight is what matters. WoW is an add-on game. Just what is going on here? Just a wipe.
That would be a...
Oh yeah, we didn't make it with 2 meteors. That's why they called a wipe.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know how much time we really have left.
I think if Kruf's monitor is right, we should be having approximately 15 minutes here. So
we've probably got one more try, I think, before we cap this off.
Yep, that should sound quite decent.
Well, we'll see if they can pull it together for the final try.
Maybe if we stop at some point, maybe I can go play and show them my stuff.
Yeah.
Hei, voitaisiin tehdä varmaan myös niin, että jos me lopetetaan jossain kohtaa, niin nyt varmaan kauan oikeesti tää alkaa vähän loppua jutut jo kesken, 5 tuntia tässä jutut puhuttu, niin mä voisin tulla vaikka pelaamaan. Että jos vaikka tuosta kerun koneelta tai jotakin. So yeah, let's do a couple of more pulls and see.
Yeah, see how it goes. Sounds fine.
Pistetään pari pullia tulille, niin otetaan vielä.
This is pretty much out of questions, I think, for the moment.
Well, there has been quite a lot of...
Yeah, we've covered quite a few.
Quite a few have been covered already.
Always fun to look through the blue posts.
Actually...
Oh, that's funny, actually. Were you involved in that in any way? There's a thing actually airing today. Later on, I'll have to watch this. It's a documentary called The Raid. I believe it was aired at BlizzCon last year.
I don't know if I am... Or I don't know, actually. I haven't checked it out.
Yeah, I know there were definitely a few major... I think it might have been Insidia that were involved in it, and possibly a couple of others.
I don't know. I really don't know.
It looks pretty good, but you guys should actually check that out if you get the chance. It's at 6 PM Pacific, which Christ, I'm trying to think of that. Now that would be, what, 11 hours? We're 11 hours ahead of, or is it 9? 10 hours ahead of Pacific. It's 10, yeah, because it will be 8 hours in Britain. So that would put it at stupid o'clock. So I would recommend perhaps trying to catch the VOD if you happen to be in Europe. Aside from that, the links are over on mmochampion.com. If you scroll past them, there's a trailer to it as well. Looks pretty good. I think from the Daily Blink right here.
Yeah.
300k subscriber dip is actually due to a single customer who is an overachieving multi-boxer. I'm not sure if I'm entirely convinced by that. Oh yeah, Glory of the Firelands Radio Ascendant's actually got the first on that. Is that just not the thing that you really are all that concerned about?
That shows nothing of skill. It's simply a, I don't know, it's a waste of heroic mode loot, because some of these achievements are obviously quite difficult to do on the heroic mode, so then you need to go on normal mode and miss all the heroic mode loot, and I don't think we're at the state yet where we want to really be doing that.
Yeah.
And mounts are not really the priority in Paragon. There are people who care about mounts. Those who care about them, they're gonna go do it at their own time.
Yeah.
And fix it with. I mean, of course, if there is people who want to do it from the guild, if there's many of them, probably gonna happen. But if there's not so many, then you just get some help from randoms.
Yeah, it's not high priority for you guys.
No,
basically,
no,
you're more focused
really
on
not.
actual world first kills as opposed to world first achievements, things like that. Which makes sense. I suppose the attitude to achievements amongst Paragon is really on a personal basis.
Yes, definitely. Well, I mean, we do have some people who have a lot of achievement points and stuff like that, but that's their personal thing to do, not something that we care about as a guild.
What's going on MMO Champion at the moment, aside from this 300,000 subscriber loss, which we have already discussed. Admittedly, the conference call said the next patch will include major raid and dungeon content. We can expect a raid in a 5-man. It'll be the largest content update since Cataclysm came out.
Yeah, it's supposed to be some huge patch. We'll see how that's going to work out.
Yeah, I mean, there's been people thinking on and discussing and saying this on the forums, of course, who knows how true that is, that as a result of all of the projects that Blizzard currently has on its table, it's got an expansion for StarCraft 2 coming out, it's got Diablo 3 coming out, it's got a next generation MMO coming out, God knows what else.
Yeah, it's just...
The team just isn't as big as it needs to be.
No.
Unfortunately, as much as we'd like to say, well, you effectively have infinite money, so you should be able to fix this, you can't necessarily do that. You can't just throw money at the problem.
No.
You can't... There's just a limited number of talented people that you can bring in that are not working elsewhere.
Yeah.
Well, no doubt a lot of budding coders will like say, oh, I could go and work for Blizzard. They probably don't have the necessary skills. Especially like things like the art department as well. They're looking for a very, very specific style, which has got to be uniform. They can't have things that look ridiculously out of place, so there's only certain kinds of artists that can do what they actually want.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they do bring in 4.3. It will have to be fairly major. If they're continuing to bleed subscribers, and they can't even blame that on Rift either, as far as I'm concerned. You can blame the 600,000 sub thing on Rift, maybe.
But if they just bring in a new content fast, and they bring in, well, they really need to bring in something more than just the content, because the content is something that we have already, like, well, not seen, but like we always see the same thing, sort of.
Yeah.
So.
Aside from that, I think that pretty much covers it. And that was the hotfix patch, and you explained the majority of the buffs and nerfs in there. Overall, would you think the buffs and nerfs are pretty well balanced with each other, or has the content just generally got easier as a result of that?
Maybe a little bit easier. Not much, a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Just made 25-man maybe a bit more comparable to 10-man, even though not really yet. I mean, not really yet. But like, yeah, not really yet there.
No, there's not been any major nerfs as of yet, which I suppose is a good thing. at least in terms of that. Admittedly, you guys couldn't care less at this point. You've
No,
already
I would
nerf it into the ground.
exactly.
So you can get the
Just
rest
take
of the
half
loot,
of Ragnaros's HP off, so
Yeah.
you know. I'm pretty sure we are not the only one who would like this, but at the same time, there are also guilds who have like worked on this really
hard. There's only
long
12
and
guilds
hard.
that have killed it. You
Exactly, and they are probably close to kill.
Yeah, and then if
now-
it gets nerfed, they
Exactly.
will actually be angry because
Exactly.
yeah, and you can hardly blame them because
Well,
it does
yeah.
take away from the achievement of it. And
Definitely.
you know, you guys are all in it for the achievement of the world first kill, and you of course
Yeah.
understand that mindset better than anybody. And I think it continues regardless of which guild you're in. If you're in a raiding guild, you just downing the boss is an achievement enough. And if you feel like it's been cheapened, even if 1,000 guilds, 2,000, 10,000 have killed it before you have, a lot of guys just don't care about that. They just care about their personal kill, and they don't want it to feel like it was handed to them.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah. It's a good attitude to have as well, as far as I'm concerned.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Some seed failure right there.
That's actually the first time that's
Crazy.
happened, isn't it?
Yep. Sometimes the timer is also off. I don't think the timer was off now since only 4 people died.
Yeah, but that isn't necessarily why.
Looks like people are just getting frustrated.
Nobody
Really.
blames. Yeah, you can't really blame them, honestly.
I'm pretty sure of this.
Yeah, well, if they're willing to go for one more, I think we probably do one more attempt and then we wrap it up. Obviously, the broadcast will be going for about
Last
5
attempt
hours.
incoming soon,
yeah.
and we'll see if my dear Paragon friends are going to manage or. If
It is
not.
really hard though after 5 hours of doing this consistently, and of course the majority of that's time spent wiping.
Yeah,
It's
actually,
difficult to
majority
look
of the
back.
casting time has been on Ragnaros.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
most of the
I think it blitzed through the
start
other boss in about an
bosses-
hour.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was fast.
it's not a problem. I just find it amusing that you one-shot a boss that only 400 guilds have killed thus far.
Well, yeah.
Staghelm has barely been touched by the vast majority of people and completely rolled over it.
Yeah. The tactic that we use on it though is really one of the easiest.
So let's see if there's any extra questions. Has the game ever gotten so boring that you questioned why you're still subbed when you are not raiding?
I don't know really. Well,
I know it's happened to me, I can tell you that for a fact.
Maybe. It probably has.
But
in
you
the
stick
past.
around anyway.
Well, yeah. It's like, how to say, sometimes you just get the feeling that you just don't really wanna play anymore. But then at the same time, all that time that you put and all this effort in,
That's the big thing.
you just
isn't
don't
it?
want to waste that.
Yeah,
that's what it's really.
That's the big thing. I think
that's
a lot of people
huge.
hang around for that reason,
yeah,
actually.
Yeah, especially, yeah.
It is difficult. I mean, I've got a character that I've had since day one of launch. I've never changed it. I've still got some of my old gear from AQ40 just lying around in the bank.
Yeah.
Just because I like to have it. They keep nerfing my trinket. That really annoys me.
Which trinket are you talking about?
You probably remember it. There was one that actually reduced your aggro, like a load. I
yeah.
can't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
I think every 2 levels you gain, it goes down about 2% or something like that. It is eventually going to reduce your aggro by -%. If it keeps going this way, it will actually make you generate more aggro. So that would actually be kind of nice for a tank, I think. I have a feeling they might remove it before that happens. But it's now almost useless. I'm pretty sure it's only about 5% now, where it used to be more like 40, and that was actually quite good back in vanilla at any rate.
Yeah.
There's a couple of bosses where I used to use that all the time. Broodlord Lashlayer, for instance. I used to pop that and I'd just lay into him, whereas everyone else had to stand around for 20 seconds.
Yeah, that was actually a very good trinket back in the days for the classes which were having threat problems. It's just nowadays there's not really much with threat
Yeah,
problems.
there's so many threat dumps.
I mean,
so many.
The only thing that really should get us some sort of threat reduction thing is a DPS warrior, because the threat you pull at the start with cooldowns is ridiculous.
The only real one that should be the class that you play.
No, but for real. Real. No, for real, man. That is the only class which actually has threat problems in the game. Really. No, being deadly serious. Not trying to buffer my own class here, just saying.
No, of course not, no.
Maybe a little bit, but just saying. Just saying. Just saying.
There's a lot of people nodding with you right now on the internet, and then a lot of people possibly shaking their heads in disgust. We'll see.
Here's a good question I can answer to. I don't know how Twitter works, but here goes. How come the DPS difference between the same classes can be so huge? Well, there are a couple of indicators. One is the other player might actually just really be better than the other. I mean, that's how things work in life. People might think that, you know, everyone is equal in the best raiding guild in the world. Well, that's not how it works, I'm afraid. And also gear is a huge difference at this point, especially when we have been farming. If there would be an example of something, I could have probably addressed it a little bit better. But since there is not, it's really hard to say. It also depends what the DPS difference is, but here it was said huge. Well, if it's huge, then there is something. Okay. Either bad play or bad gear. Yeah. That's the only... I mean, that's the only two possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, the other variance comes from the nature of the fight and certain RNG elements. Yeah, and one guy might have to move more than another guy, which is why he does less damage. But there should never be a huge difference.
Well, if it's like, for example, if it's Balrog, and you have two of the same class, another one does 10,000 more than the other, I can tell you that that guy who does 10,000 more probably has better gear and is probably 10 times better player as well.
Yeah.
So all of these things apply.
They do. So yeah, we'll do this one last attempt on the broadcast. They're actually going to stick around and keep playing, and you're more than welcome to watch them on the monitor if you happen to be in the area at the moment.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yep. So it's going to die one way or the other. It's just, even if it takes all night.
Well, that's the mentality that you gotta have.
Yeah, I suppose you're not going to be getting.
Otherwise, we would leave things undone a lot earlier already.
Oh yeah, of course. A fairly stable attempt thus far. The problem is it's such a long fight that it's really hard to say, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Like, until you get to the last phase, it's really hard to say what is actually like happening. Like, well, yeah.
Everything else has been stable aside from, I think it was one wipe at the very start, phase 1, and then that seeds wipe last time, and then it's just been all phase 3, 4 stuff.
Yeah.
Most of it being phase 4. I mean, you've maybe wiped twice phase 3, I think, with too many meteors, and that was
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, with people dead, you do wipe there. If everyone is alive, I think it's going to be no problem whatsoever.
We should see if people have the focus for it. Perhaps they do. It'd certainly be good to see a last attempt be the successful one, but you never know.
Definitely.
Aside from that, I mean, there hasn't actually been a huge amount of things to discuss that has been going on in the last few weeks in terms of World of Warcraft.
Nope.
It's kind of sad. There you go.
It's looking good this far, this attempt.
Yeah, it is solid, really stable.
Maybe they just want to show that we can actually do it.
Well, I mean, I think you've shown it before. You put out the video, certainly, but still.
Of course, but live is different. Live is live.
Well, yeah, and that, name the number of guilds that have to do this in a live environment on machines that aren't their own. Not that many.
Nope.
I think there were some ideas knocking around that perhaps at a future live event there might be some kind of competitive raid between yourselves and somebody else. That kind of thing you'd be up for?
Probably. If something like this would come up, I would say.
That would be kind of neat.
That would be actually. That would actually
I think
be
it's
more.
only happened once
That would
before.
actually be more interesting to
Oh, yeah.
for people to follow.
I think it really would be. So yeah,
It's kind of like
I think we need to convince Method.
Yeah.
It's
kind of like car racing. If there would be just one car driving around, just taking the time lapse. It's
yeah,
not really,
exactly.
not really.
It's interesting from a technical perspective, isn't it? You can
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
you can scratch your beard, but you can't get all that filled about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to arrange that. That's got to happen.
I'm totally up for that.
Sounds like fun. I'm fairly sure Blizzard has done it once before at one event. Only once, though. I think it was very popular, as I recall correctly.
Possibly.
I suppose because people don't really get to watch commentated raid footage an awful lot.
No. I mean, what kind of commentated raid footage is there really? None.
Guides. That's it, really.
Yeah, and that's not really live. Live is just
No, it's not at all.
Yeah.
But yes, that should hopefully be on the cards at some point in the future. We will try our utmost to make that happen.
Yep.
Should be fun.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds
I'll be up for
actually
that.
very interesting.
I would watch it.
Boss is actually getting to the state where things are starting to matter. Last phase, well,
Yeah, and things have been really focused as well.
Meteor phase is starting to happen, and
Yeah. Things are going very, very well up until this point, but this is not the time when things go wrong. It's coming up to this time now where it will.
yeah, if
it
here
does.
someone dies, or in the next phase, that's where it starts getting
Very
worse.
hairy,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. It's 26%, 35 seconds to the meteor. Don't think
Yeah.
there is. Yeah, that's even the second meteor. So
Yeah, that's the second meteor. So
everything
that's-
seems to be going very
yeah,
good right now.
It's solid. It's really solid. See if they can keep it up. Watching wipes as a raider is one of the most painful things in the world. I don't suppose you get to watch all that many of them from a spectator standpoint.
No, not really.
Yeah, but you just see the entire thing just collapse in on itself, and you think when one guy dies, oh, it's all right, it's still good, it's still good. Second guy dies, they
Yeah.
might be able to, and then like pop, 10 people just disappear from the raid frames. Well, that probably won't work out, will it?
It's 5% to go, and
Oodles of time, isn't it?
32 seconds
Oh
on
yeah,
the meteor.
loads of time.
Should be no problem if no one dies. Lava flames dodged. Well done, guys. Now it's just a matter of taking it safe
yeah.
without risks.
Yep, transitioning through this phase, making sure everything is fine. Of course.
Ooh, that's one person dead right there, but the DPS requirement has already been done, so the boss is going with 2 meteors.
Yep, and yeah, not used any combat rests yet, so...
Yeah, he was immediately combat rest, so now it's basically, yeah. Now it's time to see if they actually pull it off.
Yep, have they got the focus to make this last try the winning one?
Xenofix is telling them to play really safe. No hero moves.
Unless it's 1%. Okay, so out he gets, and looking for some, hopefully, some very good ice patch spawns and no dodgy flame patches.
Yeah, the first ice patch doesn't really matter that much. It's spawning right at the door.
Yeah.
It's just after this now, if they get lucky with the second one, whether it's going to be somewhere close by or if it's going to be on the other side of the map. But this is looking good right now. Everyone is still alive and everything seems to be going really good.
For the time being, let's keep it up.
Deluge guys have managed to get their stuff sorted out. The rocket fuel leak on Rakes right there. He didn't die though. That's
The rocket boots
Yeah.
actually not working.
yeah.
Goddamn goblins. That's not the kind of RNG you want in your raid, is it?
No, not really. There's a lot of Dread Flame right next to the Braid right now. Boss is trapped as well, is getting decimated right now. Everything is going really good.
For the time being. See if we can keep it up. There's actually a lot of Dread Flame on the entire map.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's been cleaned up very nicely, so...
Yeah, we just need to wait for the next Frost patch to spawn somewhere reasonable. Can't see too much right now because of his legs, so it's really far away, so I think they're just going to be staying in this one. Meteor is coming really close though. Yeah, that's the Gaseer. That's the Gaseer which destroyed the Frost Path, and no one died from that, even though one of the main tanks did die. There can be a combat rest for him.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And now people are taking massive damage, having to go for a Frost Breath.
Well, that's it, unfortunately.
No, it's not gonna happen. Not on this stream. I'm sorry, guys. I'm truly sorry for.
Well, it
does not always go like in the movies.
It's the hardest fight in the game. It's as simple as that. But nonetheless, once again, thanks to Paragon for providing 5 hours of entertainment, and thanks to you guys for sticking around. Hopefully, you enjoyed that very much, or at least learned an awful lot from that.
Hopefully.
Well, I feel like I know this instance, and I haven't even bothered to play it yet, so yeah, that's always good. And those of you who missed any parts of this stream, you can watch it on the VODs. They'll be available on twitch.tv/TotalBiscuit, as well as youtube.com/TotalHalibut. And remember to check out Paragon's website, and where can we find that?
Paragon.fi.
Yep, Paragon.fi for more content. Thanks a lot, guys, and they're going to stick around and continue this, no doubt. And that might last until... who knows when?
Not for long, hopefully.
Well, no doubt the next attempt will actually be a kill, and we'll feel like idiots, but that would be predictable, wouldn't it? But thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot.